When the lights come up, we'll just
I just want to look at you or here. You're talking to me, so I should look at you when you're talking to me.
Welcome everybody to DisruptEDtv, and our guest today is Jeremy Braverman. I want to make sure I get that right. And Jeremy is the principal at Howell High School.
Correct.
I want to make sure I pronounce that correctly. Every DisruptEDtv really is about the little ideas that can make a big difference in your school. And today, the little idea isn't such a little idea. It's actually a pretty big idea, Jeremy. Isn't that right? And that is that we can rearrange the environment in which learning takes place, and that the result of that is a better learning experience.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, you know, at Howell High School, so we're part of the Freehold Regional High School District.
Okay.
Fortunately, we have a real forward-thinking superintendent who is given us the mission to really try to engage students the best way we could in a student-centered learning environment. And our philosophy is that if we're going to create a student-centered learning environment where kids are going to be able to collaborate with each other and develop solutions and have that real-world problem solving, that we needed to change what the school looked like, the actual physical school. And instead of having rows and white walls and 4 white walls and what school looked like for my parents or my parents' parents, etc., we really wanted to try to change things up. We found some ways to do it at no cost, and we found some ways to do it at some cost where we were able to prioritize our budget and think of some big ideas and create some spaces that are used frequently to give that more campus-like feel and more modernized learning.
Okay, one of the things we're going to want to explore definitely with you, Jeremy, is the difference in outcome that you get from this, because I'm sure you've had a chance to study that. You have some stories to tell. But you mentioned some cost, no cost. People that are out there trying to figure out how to use your idea are wondering, how expensive is this? I mean, maybe you can help with some kind of an idea how much of an outlay.
Sure. So as I said in the introduction piece, you know, we started doing it by no cost, and the easy way to do that is you know, we remember, and again, my parents and my grandparents, if you look at pictures from the 1920s, the classroom looked the same as what they were looking, you know, now.
The more he talks, the older I feel, which is one of those things. But I remember those rows of desks.
Exactly.
And in some schools, and even ours, in you know, not so far away, you know, we still had those rows. So you know, our superintendent put us, you know, to the charge. So let's try to shake things up a little bit and take some risks. So at no cost, what we did was we encouraged our teachers to not to get rid of the rows, whether you put the kids in some sort of a shape, a unique shape with the desks, or whether you have them in pods or quads, areas where you can force kids to collaborate more. Because if you're in straight rows and the teacher's up front, it's difficult to force that collaboration. And one thing that we did is, you know, our superintendent sent us to a couple of businesses so that we could see how the real world actually operates. And every business we went to, and I'll tell you what they were, we never walked in and saw classrooms or areas where people were working in rows.
Classroom atmosphere.
Even the cubicle piece in you know, in the private sector has changed. You're not seeing as much of that. So we went to Bellworks, we went to Convolt, and we went on site visits, and we were able to see what their business looks like and what their learning spaces, so to speak, look like. And we saw a lot of high top tables and a lot of pop of color and a lot of artwork on the walls. We saw a lot of collaboration where you never saw one person in these companies working by themselves behind a computer. It always seemed to be working, and that really, you know, struck a nerve where we said, okay, well, we want our kids to prepare them for the real world. We're obviously going to deal with the end of student-centered learning and teaching how to get kids to collaborate more and problem solve more. So my push was to figure out more of the structural end of how can I make my school look like these places, which ultimately is going to help the kids be able to collaborate in the classroom as well.
How did the teachers react to that?
You know, I mean, listen, a lot of the teachers were excited about it. Some, of course, you know, take a step back and they have to see somebody else doing it first, and we're fine with that. You know, it's not something that we just said you have to do this, and we don't work that way. You know, it came within time. I'd say probably close to 90% of my rooms right now are in some sort of different environment than they were in the years past. The first big push we did was after changing the desks. You know, we did some research on colors that we thought kids can learn better in. And we did some research and we found 3 different colors, a different shade of blue, a different shade of green, and a different shade of yellow. And we started just painting one wall in different classrooms. We created accent walls. So instead of the kids walking into the room and the teacher being in the room all day long and having 4 white cinder block walls, we just did one accent wall. And we saw the difference when kids walked in the room.
Visible difference.
Visible difference if the
Right.
kids walked in the wall. Wow.
Wow.
And just these are soothing colors or energetic colors where the kids are able to just have something different. And we did about 25 rooms. Where we painted these accent walls, and we just saw a lot of physical feedback, physical reaction where the teachers can say, I can tell a difference in my kids. They feel like they're in a special place. It's something different. And I always relate it to the fact that, when you walk into a sports stadium or an arena, or you walk into a theater,
Right.
you're excited to walk in there. Because your expectation is that something cool is going to happen there.
Exactly.
So we take that philosophy is that if you walk into a school or you walk into a classroom, you want the kids to be excited to walk in. You want their expectation to be that something fun is going to happen. And we preach to our students, and we talk to our staff and say, we want you to be excited to come into school rather than excited to leave.
Right.
That's how schools should be. When the bell rings at 2:05, we don't want them rushing out. We want them rushing in at 7:20.
That's
right.
So that,
key.
and in order to do that, we created these spaces, and we have them all over the building, and sooner or later we'll get into what some of these look like and what we did with these spaces with some
Definitely
money.
want to talk about that.
But you're really starting to see a difference in culture.
That's
and to me,
important.
culture is everything. Building strong relationships with kids, administrators building strong relationships with staff members, that's where it all starts. If you don't have that, nothing works.
Then nothing works. And I want to follow up on the question you asked, Joe. I thought really struck me, how the teachers react to it. The important thing here is you're not doing this to teachers.
Correct.
You're consulting with teachers and then giving them the tools and the information they need to rearrange their room
Absolutely.
based on what it is they're teaching to a
Correct.
large extent. So teachers are coming along in this process and taking the lead in their own classrooms with guidance from you.
Correct.
And
yeah.
the second thing that struck me too in your conversation is that when you went out and talked to local businesses and visited local businesses to see how they arrange things, and you went there and you introduced yourself as the principal of Howell High School, that's a terrific way to engage the community
Yep.
in the work that the school does. And now, I mean, first of all, I can't imagine that wouldn't resonate with them. I'm sure it did. And second of all, that teaches them a little bit what you're trying to accomplish in the school.
That's a
Isn't
great
that
point. I'm glad you brought that up. When I went with other admins in my district.
Right.
As I said, we're part of the Freehold Regional High School District, and this is not a Howell High School initiative. This is a district initiative. So we went with all the principals in the other schools in the district: Marlboro, Manalapan, Freehold Township, Freehold Borough, Colts Neck. And when we went out, we introduced ourselves. We told them what our mission was and what we were looking to do. We had some great conversations, some community partnerships built out of some of those meetings, which is perfect. We're in the process right now. Our superintendent is, we're into our next strategic plan. Every 5 years we do a strategic plan, and we're moving into our next strategic plan right now. And community partnerships is one of our 4 values, or our 4 structures of the strategic plan. We have community values. We have whole child, which is so important. We have student-centered, or student growth and learning. And we have equity and opportunity. So, as you mentioned, community partnerships, that's one of our 4 pillars.
It's a great reason to go out into the community and find out how business does things. And we have to take a break. We'll be right back in a minute with more of Jeremy Braverman and Learning Spaces.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll be
See you
right
in a
back.
minute.
Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. My name is Al Cini.
And I'm Joe Osamendi.
And
Good to see you, Al.
it's great talking to you, Joe. But more important than either of us, our disruptive idea, our DisruptEd idea today is about how you can rearrange learning spaces to promote more effective learning. And our guest talking about that today is Jeremy Braverman, who is the principal at Howell High School. And during the first segment, you mentioned you did some research. And I don't want everybody out there to think that you have to spend a year doing the research to do this. Talk a little bit about that and how easy it is.
Sure, yeah. I mean, and I think the key word is easy. The research isn't rocket science. We have a partnership where we have to get research information from Hanover, and they do send multi-page articles, and we've read through those. But for the most part, it's really going out and seeing things, going out and researching by going to, like I said, Bellworks or Convolt. I had the fortunate opportunity of last year going out to the ASU Global Silicon Valley Conference in Salt Lake City, which is a conference with educators and innovators and business people, and they talk about innovation. And I had the opportunity to go out there with my superintendent last May. So a lot of it is just going places and getting out of your office and getting out and about and seeing what other schools are doing.
Which is never a bad idea.
Never a bad idea.
No matter what the reason.
Right.
Yeah, this just gives you a reason to get out there and talk to people.
Exactly. And our school district is a member of the League of Innovative Schools, and which is an organization that really promotes this forward thinking.
Right.
And part of it is redesigning classrooms. So we went on site visits to other school districts that have done these things. So a lot of the research is just getting out there.
Okay.
I mean, besides that, you go on the internet and you Google things and you look things up and you find out what you think's helpful, what's not. So it's really not that difficult. The big piece is going out and getting that professional development for yourself. A lot of people think PD is just for teachers.
Right. For everybody.
As administrators, we're constantly going out and getting professional development. We have a great superintendent, a great board of education that allows us to go out and get that professional development as admins, and I thrive. I love going out there and doing it.
Yeah, it's terrific. And let's pick this up with the process. The research costs nothing and takes no time at all. Number one. Number two, some of the first steps you can take are rearranging the desks you already have to make a difference, and maybe for a couple of bucks, painting covered access walls in some classrooms. One classroom at a time. You don't have to spend all the money all at once. Now, down the road a little bit, as you need to replace furniture anyway, because that happens by attrition. When you replace that furniture, what kind of things can you do?
It's a great question. So, we started out talking about the fact of doing things at no cost. Well, then we decided after seeing, the excitement about it and kids more engaged in the environment, then we decided to spend some money and do some things that we really thought would be beneficial. A lot of it through replacing furniture that needed to happen. But we started in our media center. We completely got rid of all the wood desks and the wood chairs that have been there for a long time, and we created a complete different campus feel. There's love seats in there, there's couches in there, there's the ottomans that the kids sit on that are cubes. We got all high top tables where the kids are up on high top tables and stools where if they don't want to sit, they slide the chair away and they can have standing tables. And we did it with a lot of color, and that's what we learned from our visits. I have in my media center now lime green, turquoise, and gray. So the whole feel of the media center is just more of a campus-like feel, comfortable feel. Kids are sitting on couches, they can put their feet up, they have lap desks, and that was the real first area we started.
One of the things that I like about that idea is the fact that they can, inside the school, they can see what the environment outside looks like too. It mirrors what they're seeing outside.
For
So
sure.
they do
So
understand
they're,
it.
in a way, they're getting ready for what they're,
Right.
it's like they're at work.
Exactly.
It's a great
When they go to
Exactly.
work, that's what work is going to look
a great
like.
point.
And
When they go
that's
to-
really a great point.
It's great because when they go to work, there's not going to be old wooden desks
right.
in their workspace. So we want it's all about branding and culture and getting kids ready for. Isn't that our job to get them ready for the next
That's
step?
pretty much-
Get them ready for
Yeah.
higher education. Get them ready for the real world, for jobs they're going to be in. So just the feel alone has helped out.
Right.
The next thing we did was some math rooms needed some new furniture, and we purchased for about 4 math rooms now over the last 3 years, or 5 math rooms for the last 3 years, writable whiteboard tables. So we
Okay.
took the desks, we got rid of them. Inside those classrooms, there are 5 48-inch round circle white tables with chairs around them, and the kids can write right on the tables.
Wow.
We found them on the internet. We heard that they were out there. There's a company that we worked with. We found out where to get them, and the kids write on this. So they're in a math class. They're working now in a circular shape with 5 different kids facing right across from them as you and I are. Teacher has a question or problem. They're able to collaborate and write right on it with whiteboard markers. They come off. Those rooms have colorful chairs in there, the colorful walls, they write right on the tables. And that was kind of phase 3. And then we really picked it up, and some of the other schools in the district have done this as well. Phase 4 was we created an innovation lab, and we call it our iLab. And it's a room that the teachers can sign out on a Google Doc where they can use it anytime they want. They see if it's available the period they teach. They put their name in, they sign it out, and they head on down there. And it's really just a change of pace room. So it's, we only have one in the building, but it's for kids to be able to not just be, even if they were in one of those classrooms with the writable whiteboard tables, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 days in a row, everything can get a little old or stale, so that it gives the teachers and the kids another, and that room is awesome. It has couches in it. It has writable whiteboard tables that are high top, standing tables. It has a 70-inch Promethean board where it's the old school smart board, but it looks like a flat screen. It has 3 50-inch flat screens that have Chromebooks that beam right to the flat screen, that are touchscreen Chromebooks, where it's a group project, and you've said it on your show before, and it's not another buzzword, but it gives you that PBL, it gives you that project-based learning.
That's a project
environment.
I know you're going to talk about maker spaces too. Before we get into some of the other examples of it, because I think they're all great examples. What kind of outcomes? How do the kids behave? How do the kids behave when you change their environment?
So this is one piece to the puzzle of what we've done in our district and at Howell High School, of trying to find ways to engage students. Creating these learning spaces is one piece of it. The other piece is our equity and opportunity. I won't go too much into it, but we have basically pulled down all the barriers for kids to get into higher level courses in our district. If a kid wants to take an AP course, they can take it. There's no waiver process. So it's hard for me to say. We've done so much in our district in giving and accelerating kids. So we'll take kids that are in classes they've never been in before, and they're excelling. They also happen to have writable whiteboard tables in that room and painted walls. What we're seeing is our discipline is decreased. Our kids are doing fine when we move them through the continuum. The environment has become more conducive for 21st century learning, where we are fortunate enough to see kids that are, doing well in class academically, doing well behaviorally, doing well socially. So all that combined, plus a couple other things that we've done to build the strong culture in our school that we've had for years, but continue to just, listen, our school's been great for years. We just want to make it better every year. Once things are great, we don't stop. We just keep on, tick it off and then keep on moving.
Yeah, that's great.
So the things we've done, really, we've seen academic success, kids moving through the continuum in classes they've never taken before. These learning spaces have created this nice culture of environment. And what I always say is, if administrators take risks, then teachers will take risks.
Absolutely.
If teachers take risks, the students will take risks. And we see our students taking more risks now in class assignments and projects, etc., and working and collaborating, thinking outside the box. And they're doing that because the teachers are taking more risks. And I have an awesome staff in my school. They're phenomenal. My administrative team, my supervisory staff, from custodian to secretary, everyone's bought into really doing what's best for kids. And like I said at the beginning of the show, building strong relationships. So we've seen a lot of positive success and a lot of risk taking, and again, that's important.
That's great. The energy. I mean, you're radiating the energy from this. So
it excites me, and I'm passionate about it. I love what I do.
We need to take a break. I want you to hang on to that energy level, because we're going to need it when we get back. We'll be right back after this break on DisruptEDtv.
Yep, stick around.
Thank you. This is terrific. Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. My name is Al Cini.
I'm Joe Acevendi, as usual. Good to see you, Al.
What a pleasure. Jeremy Braverman is with us. Principal Howell High School is with us today, talking about how you can rearrange learning spaces. And what we're learning from Jeremy is it doesn't take much to research what you can do. It doesn't cost much to begin the process. Let me give you a little bit of pushback.
Okay. Could take
My
that.
school, I got crazy kids. They're going to ruin it. I mean, they're just going to paint on it, ruin it. How do you answer that?
Yeah, I mean, and we heard that, and our philosophy, and it goes back to what I talked about, is building strong relationships with kids. Treat kids the way you want to be treated. Kids are able to see if you talk to them the right way and they talk to you. But the biggest thing is, if you want to take risks, and again, when I talked about if administrators take risks, teachers take risks. If teachers take risks, students take risks. The administrators are taking the risk by putting nice furniture into a school, by having an area where they can, use different computers without anybody watching them. And the risk is that what we expected and we hoped would happen is if we kind of take those barriers off, like we did with our equity and opportunity and moving kids through the continuum academically, let's see what happens. And if we treat kids and they see that they can use things and they can have nice things, that they'll act differently. And I was not surprised, so I can take that pushback, but I was not surprised with the community and kids that I have in my school, and I wouldn't be surprised in any school, that if you give the kids a little bit, what they'll do is they'll usually step up.
More likely to do positive things.
More likely
with it.
and that didn't surprise me. I know that's a risk to do that. But if you throw a couple of Chromebooks in a corner during an area in the media center and they don't have to be signed out and signed in and they're not under a lock and key, that kids are going to use them and be happy that we're basically telling them without saying it to them, hey, we trust you, we'll treat you this way, and it works out really well.
Telling it without saying it is really the point. Telling it without saying it, showing it basically that you trust them and not just saying we trust you. Then they start to believe it and they become trustworthy in response to that. I think that is, to me anyway, the essence of school leadership. Now, what I'd like to do maybe is talk a little bit about the integration of changing furniture with the freedom that you offer in your curriculum. You mentioned in the last segment that you allow people to take advanced placement courses. They don't have to test into the class.
Correct.
They can just opt for it. So you trust the student enough to be able to accept the challenge, even though technically their schoolwork or their grades might not suggest they do much with it. Talk about that.
So I mean, when I say we allow them to do it, we still have teacher recommendation. There still is a meeting with the guidance counselor in regards to this is the best course, and we have pushed kids to move through the continuum. We've taken holistic views of kids based on a lot of data. We use AP Potential, and there's a ton of data out there to see if we think a kid can succeed in a higher level course. And this goes from resource to ICR, from ICR to honors, from honors to AP. It's not just about AP. It's about a least restricted environment. And that builds in with our student-centered learning philosophy, which builds in with our learning spaces, and it's all a big picture. So when we move these kids through the continuum and they're successful, and we have data to prove that, hey, this kid would have never moved to this level if we didn't have our teachers give us that recommendation to do so, and the guidance counselor didn't have a conversation with those kids, and then the kids do well. And again, risk again. When you first start doing this and you move these kids through the continuum, you take baby steps. You don't say, okay, we're going to move 500 kids up a level without even knowing how it's going to work. We start with baby steps, we see the success, and then we start opening up a little more. We're fortunate. 3 years ago, we gave 460 AP tests in our building. Last year, we gave 950.
Fantastic.
And we have a ton of kids doing successful. More kids are getting 3s, 4s, and 5s. Obviously, more kids are testing. To us, it's not about the percentage of how well they're doing. It's about giving kids opportunities. I had a kid come back to school over Thanksgiving break saying to me, this class I'm taking in college is going so well. I got a 2 on the AP exam. I'm going to tell you right now, it was the best class I ever took in my life. I don't even care what I got on the exam, but being able to take an AP level class, I'm doing so well in that same curriculum right now in college, and I just thank you for the opportunity, for pushing me. Those are the stories you want to hear. It's not about how well the kid does on the exam, but our kids are doing well too. There's kids that we've maximized their potential, we've told them we believed in them, all, and back to the topic of today, in an environment that is conducive to 21st century learning.
That's it,
So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. It's not just about one piece, and that's why I brought up some of the equity and opportunity and student growth and learning, and even the community partnership, which again is aligned to our strategic plan. It's just exciting. It's really
that is exciting.
One of the nice things about your approach is the fact that if you do it gradually, like you talked about, it's so easy to make that change realistic. It's not slapping in the face. And
it's not like you all of a sudden come back in September and the school is totally different than it was last year.
People will push back on that because they
do
don't
it
want
kind
to
of
do
room
that.
by room, and
just off of that, I mean, we're moving to a 67-minute block schedule, and I don't want to go too much in detail on what that means and looks like. But this is something that was 3 years in the making.
Exactly.
Because our superintendent believed in, we're not just going to say, let's do this and then do it. You got to take your time with things. If you do take some initiatives, you got to take some baby steps when you make them. And then when the data is showing that kids are successful or things are going successfully, then you have some data that you feel more comfortable because you see that it works.
Success breeds success.
That's key. So when you change the environment, for kids, following along with that, because I think that's a great point. When you change the environment for kids, you're telling the kids that you trust them and you have faith in them. When they believe that you trust them and have faith with them, they develop a growth mindset. They don't feel like they're stuck in whatever track or grade they're in. They feel like they can do better. So it's not even about pushing them. It's really more about allowing them to kind of break the tape, run the race a little faster, get to the finish line a little sooner on their own by telling them you have faith in them, you believe in them.
100%. And I believe, our kids know that we have faith in them. It's a laid-back environment in our building in regards to, them understanding that what's really important to build strong relationships with kids. If you go on Twitter, and I'm not saying things that I'm sure a lot of people watching this show don't know, if you go on Twitter and you look at some of the things out there, it all starts there. It all starts about kids deserving it. Everybody knows that. Yeah, right. It's all about kids. It's all about, there's a reason why everyone's saying that. I mean, it's not this big idea. That's what it needs to be about.
That's what it needs to be.
And when kids know you believe in them, and if you buy nice things that are beautiful learning environments, you believe in them to move through the continuum. It's a risk to do all these things, but when the kids do, they do fine, and they actually are more successful because they know someone's out there saying, "Hey, you can do it, and you can do it in this environment."
Before you were a high school principal, you were a teacher.
Right.
Talk about where all this comes from.
Right. So, I was a high school principal for now 3 years. I was an assistant principal for about 9. I was an athletic director for 4 years, and I was a teacher for 6 years and a coach. A lot of my passion comes from I was a high school and college wrestler. I wrestled at Syracuse University. I've always wanted to go full speed ahead, be all in everything I do whatever I can do, what's best. And I wanted to be in education from the start, and I wanted to do what was exciting to me and what's best for kids. So I think that mindset and that background of being a Division I college wrestler, and then becoming a teacher and really seeing, how I can affect kids in such a positive way and be a coach, and then get involved with athletics and being an athletic director and being around such great kids during that time period, and then moving on to administration. It's just been a path that I've had a lot of excitement about, and I really enjoy, being around kids and community members and really all the stakeholders. It's great having relationships with your teachers as well. Great. It's just it's a fun field for me. It's certainly part of my life. It's not just a job, and I really enjoy doing the best I could. Obviously, could I always do better? Yes. Yeah. I have no problem somebody telling me that. Hey, why don't you try this or that? I'm not afraid to share ideas, but I'm also not afraid to take in criticism and say, hey, how can we make this better?
You practice what you preach.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is great. We're at the end of our program, so we have about a minute or two left. We'd like you to look in your camera and tell everybody how you can help them and how they can reach you.
Sure. Again, my name's Jeremy Braverman. I'm the principal at Howell High School. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. Always willing to discuss these topics and more. Enjoy sharing. As far as I'm concerned, it's not just about my kids at Howell. Anything I can do to try to help kids. And if you call me, I'll probably ask you some questions, and hopefully you can help me out as well. Always looking to learn. My Twitter account is @BravermanHHS. Feel free to follow me, direct message. You can see all the cool things we're doing in our school. You can email me at jbraverman@frhsd.com. That's Freehold Regional High School District.com. We have a district website, which is frhsd.com. You can find all the information there as well. And again, feel free to reach out to me. A lot of people do already, and I'm always willing to, to help you out, and hopefully you can help me out.
About a lot more than just furniture too, Jeremy, and this is great. You were a terrific guest today. Thank you for
Appreciate it.
being on the program.
Thanks so much, Jeremy.
You got it,
Enjoyed
buddy.
meeting you.
Jeremy Braverman, thank you very much for being with us, and thank all of you for tuning in to DisruptEDtv today. My name is Alcini,
I'm still Joe Osamendi.
and we hope, in the spirit of our program, that one or two of the ideas that you might have learned from Jeremy today could be ideas that you could put to use in your school right away to make a difference for your students. Thank you all very much.
See you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Good, thanks, guys.
Sit here for a second. We're doing a commercial.